Okay, the HPV vaccination in Colombia started in the year 2012 when the government, in a very intelligent decision, decided to vaccinate all of the Colombian girls aged 9 to 17, especially the scholars. And that was a great success. We were able to vaccinate almost 98% of the targeted population. We were very happy, and in fact, Colombia became a model to follow around the world. But then, as I always say, good news in Colombia are short-lived. There was an incident in a very small town in the northern part of Colombia. It's called Carmen de Bolívar. That's the name of this little town. And one morning, 15 girls from the same grade of the same school arrived to the emergency service, the emergency room of the local hospital, with bizarre symptoms of headaches, abdominal cramps. Some of them kind of fainted, quite unusual movements. They were not seizures, but they were kind of unusual muscular movements. And the physician that was on call that morning, he told me that he examined them, they were okay, and he thought that because the 15 girls were from the same grade, from the same school, he thought about a food poisoning event, which I think is okay. Headaches, vomiting, abdominal cramps, okay, food poisoning, excellent. So he had them admitted to the hospital. They were hydrated, and most of them in the following 8 hours were discharged home in very good conditions. Only about 6 stayed in the hospital, but someone, which I don't know why, he decided to look at the charts, and all of them had that they had been vaccinated against HPV a year ago. So something that happened 1 year before, this incredible mind decided to point out that the vaccination was the culprit of this very bizarre incident. And for those reasons that you will never understand, that only happen in Colombia, where the reality suppresses fiction, it became a national news. And all of the TV cameramen came there, and the journalists went to interview the girls, and it became a national big problem. A lot of local politicians took advantage of that situation to attack the government, to attack the Ministry of Health, and for a very unfortunate situation, it became a national news. It went in all of the newspapers and all of the TV news programs. And very, very quickly, the trust, the confidence on the safety of the vaccine dropped, and there were a lot of people protesting against the vaccination program. And to make things worse, even the National Academy of Medicine, which is supposed to be a very serious statement, they wrote a letter to the Ministry of Health telling him to stop the program. Obviously, most of the scientific societies, we were absolutely appalled and against that. From the Liga Colombiana Against Cancer, we wrote a statement saying that that was nonsense. But nevertheless, the damage was done, and in the following 2 or 3 months, the 97% of vaccination dropped to less than 10%. And that happened in the year 2014. And now, 4 years later, we haven't been able to recover not even the 50% of the targeted population that we should be vaccinating. And obviously, it has been very difficult because there's a lot of anti-vaccine movements around, and they decided even to sue the government for, I think it was $300 million US, a lot of money. And so the community is sort of, they don't know what to believe. The Ministry of Health decided to have a very sort of quiet position. Just do things like that. We are in an election, we're coming, so let's. No. And I think that was a mistake. I think you have to confront the things, go with the scientific evidence, and fight for it. But I think they choose to keep quiet, and that keep quiet make it even worse, because the community said, well, not even the Ministry of Health is saying that the vaccine is okay. Well, they told that, but in a very sort of quiet manner, not with the enthusiasm that I think they should have done so. So there we are, trying to increase the vaccination rates. I've been lecturing around the country, going to all of the places, telling the community, the parents, the physicians, because you wouldn't believe it, there are a lot of physicians that they still don't believe that the vaccine is safe. The teachers, the headmasters of the schools, because that was another situation. It's difficult to get all of the girls in the same place unless they're in school. So after what happened in this little town, the headmasters and the educational authorities decided to close the doors to the vaccinators. And so it's very difficult for a mother to take their daughter to be vaccinated, because they have to leave their work, and it's a pain in the neck. And to make things even worse, the Constitutional Court decided to make a statement saying that to vaccinate an adolescent, there was to have an informed consent signed by the parents. So if you are planning to vaccinate 3 million adolescents, to have to sign both parents, it makes things difficult. I mean, it's not a public health issue, it's just a logistic issue. So we are facing a lot of problems, but nevertheless, there we are, hoping to improve things. I was surprised yesterday. I heard a physician from Rwanda in Africa that they were able to vaccinate 100% of their adolescent girls, Rwanda. And I said, gee, how did they make it? And I understand that they have a dictatorship. I don't know if that's true or not. They know how to say, that's the order. So there we are in Colombia, trying to improve things. It hasn't been easy, but I think that at the end, if you show the evidence, you explain the adolescents and their parents that the vaccine is safe. I decided even to vaccinate my daughter and my son, just to show the people that I was so convinced that of the safety of the vaccine, that I was myself vaccinating my daughter and my son. So slowly we are recovering. We hope to achieve at least 60% in the following year. But we have a change of government now. So I hope that the new authorities will back up the program, because I think that cervical cancer in developing countries is a public health issue. 2,000 women die each year by cervical cancer that is preventable and curable if it's detected on time. And both things can be achieved with our present technology, vaccination and the cytology and the HPV DNA studies. So we have no excuse to see that still Colombian women are dying of cervical cancer. Well, I understand that something similar happened in Japan. So that not only happens in developing countries. It happened in Japan, and I understand that in Denmark there were some also similar situation. So that can happen anywhere. And I think that medical authorities should be aware that that is something that can happen and can destroy a very important program as is vaccination. And we should be prepared to deal with these situations. I mean, any girl can faint after a vaccination shot, and that's been described, and that's not a serious event. You have to take care of the situation, obviously. But if you are not prepared to deal with it, things get out of hand, and the media sometimes, instead of informing, they misinform. And that's something that's a headache. So I guess scientific societies, community, parents should understand the problem, take advantage that the vaccination is for free, and that it's for the sake of our women. The girls, 9 to 17 years old at this moment, are going to be the mothers in a decade or so. And if you see the mortality rate of women in Colombia, number one is cervical cancer in the age of 20 to 45. And in that age, usually a woman is mother. And if she dies, she's going to leave behind her orphans. And I have always said that in a family, it's much more important the woman than the men. I mean, mothers are mothers, men, we are fathers, but it's much more important mothers. So anything that we could do to save the life of one woman, especially if she's a mother, it's worthwhile giving the fight.